Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the How to Submit an Abstract webinar. I'll get underway in just a moment. I see there's some people logging on, so welcome and thank you all for joining us today. We know there's a lot going on in the world, and we just want to thank you for choosing to be here and listen to this webinar and stay focused on ending the HIV epidemic. So thank you all for choosing us today, because there's a lot of things we're kind of distracted with these days. So please, if you are not able to hear us, you're not listening, there is a chat function. Please use our chat function. It is over in the right-hand drop-down menu. You can type a message to us. If you hear us now, or the sound goes out, or it doesn't look like the PowerPoint is following along with what we're saying, please drop a note in that chat function, and I'm going to get underway. So again, welcome and thank you for being here for the How to Submit an Abstract webinar. We have a lot of information to cover today. I am Allison McKeithen, Conferences Manager at NMAC, and I did want to have my moderators, my co-moderators with us, but there's just been so much going on. But our host committee is actively working with us to make sure that we get a lot of participation from Puerto Rico, which we're extremely excited about. And before we begin, I just wanted to cover a few housekeeping items before we start. Again, the chat function in the menu bar to your right has a chat function. You are able to put questions in there throughout the duration of the webinar. And we'll have a questions section once we get further through the webinar where we'll answer the questions that have been entered into the chat function. So please make sure you ask all your questions there and we'll address them later in the webinar. This webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our USCHA.life website so that you can reference it later if you need to. At the conclusion of this webinar, there's a survey. It'll ask you a few questions about your impression of the webinar and how you think we did. So please complete that survey for us. And finally, we are planning on doing a Spanish language version of this same webinar. So if there's anyone who you know speaks Spanish, or if you speak Spanish as your first language and you just feel like it would be better received in Spanish, we will have that webinar coming up. Please look for details about when that webinar will be scheduled coming soon. So again, to reiterate, we know there's a lot going on in the world right now with COVID-19 kind of taking its toll in our communities, but we're moving forward with USCA so far, and we're closely monitoring the situation. And we take your health and our health very seriously. And as more information becomes available, if we need to make any updates or changes in cancellations, we'll let you know as those things come available, as the information becomes available. The first place we usually put updates is in our NMAC newsletter. So please make sure you're getting our newsletter weekly. You are able to sign up for it on our nmac.org website. If you do have questions about it, again, you can put it in the chat function and we'll gladly make sure that you get added to that newsletter distribution. So again, we're monitoring the situation and we'll let you know any updates that NMAC decides whether or not we're going to cancel or postpone or delay anything, okay? All right, so let's cover some information. So for today, here's our agenda, a few things that we're going to cover. How to submit your abstract. We're going to go over some track information, types of submissions. We'll give you some tips. We'll cover the review process and how your abstract will be reviewed. And then we'll go through those questions. So remember to put those questions in that chat box, and we'll come to those as we get closer to the conclusion of the webinar. So our conference theme this year is, and forgive my Spanish in advance, Luchando por nuestras vidas, which means fighting for our lives, which is pretty self-explanatory. And what you'll also notice this year that's changed is the name of the conference. We updated the conference's name to the United States Conference on HIV and AIDS because we feel it reflects the importance of eliminating stigmatizing language and accurately reflecting the current state of the epidemic. So a quick poll question. Hopefully you all can answer this very quickly. There'll be a pop-up bar that comes up, a pop-up menu that'll come up so you can answer. Select the best answer that pertains to you. So, have you ever submitted an abstract to USCHA? You can answer yes, and it was accepted, or yes, it was not accepted, or you can select no. So that should be coming up shortly. I'll give you a few seconds to respond. And this will just help me gauge exactly where everyone is, so I make sure I cover all those relevant points for you all. Hopefully you're all responding. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're going to close out that poll. Wow, so we have a good amount of people who have never submitted before. That's amazing. So I'm so glad that you're all here. For those people who have submitted previously and been accepted, great. It seems like you have a great handle on it, but you feel free to pick up some more tips here. And for those people who have submitted previously and haven't been accepted yet, well, let's get these tips and take some copious notes and get to accepted to USCHA. All right, thank you all for responding. All right, so for those no's, we're going to get you some great information. So we're just going to keep moving along here. So the first step in how to submit an abstract is to visit our website. The website is uscha.life. On that website, we have an abstracts tab that gives you all the information that we're covering today, and we'll go through that in just a moment. So the steps that we're covering today are 4 separate steps in order to get through submitting your abstract. We'll go through each step, show you all the information that's required, and how to actually ensure that your abstract is submitted completely. So step 1, we'll cover primary presenter information. We'll go over steps 2 and 3 for co-presenters and co-authors. And then we'll get into step 4, which is the meatier part of the abstract, which is all the abstract information, all the details and descriptions and so forth. Okay. So one major change I want to mention to you all before we continue on is that we have extended the deadline. Previously, it was April 17th, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic and all the delays that it's been causing and just pretty much knocking everybody back a couple of weeks, we wanted to give you an extension on submitting your abstracts. So we're leaving it open until May 1st. So remember, you have an extra 2 weeks to go ahead and put in your abstract submissions, and hopefully that's enough time to kind of, allow you to settle in your lives and still focus on your abstract submission. Hopefully everything will be back to normal by then. So again, submission deadline is May 1st. We'll be updating all of our website information to reflect this new date. Okay, so back into our submission. So I gave you the website information, uscha.life. And here's the abstract page. As you scroll down, you'll see that we have track descriptions, we have abstract formats, and a sample abstract for you to reference. Continue to scroll down, you'll see important deadlines. So again, that will be updated to say May 1st. We give you a few steps on how to submit your abstract. We'll give you guidelines. We give you our scoring rubric. We give you submission tips. We let you know what's next after you submit your abstract. And then we give you some more information about the presentation types that are available to you. So as you scroll down, you'll see another Submit Now button, so you can go ahead and begin your abstract submission. From here, it takes you into the abstract submission portal. You'll notice here that the abstract submission portal is in Spanish and in English. Again, I'll be updating this website with all the current deadline information, so it'll change from April 17th to May 1st. You scroll down and you'll see all the various steps and information pertaining to those steps. But to begin your abstract submission process, you have to enter a valid email address. Please enter an email address that you check regularly. And then you want to click Submit. And that will take us to our first step. Step 1 is for the primary presenter information. This person, who is hopefully you, will be entering in your information as the person who is the primary contact for this abstract. So we'll be sending all contact information to you, any information about awarding the abstract to you, and the email that you just submitted. So once you click Submit, you'll notice that there's a registrant ID number. That's very important to reference. As you scroll down, you'll notice there's some items marked with the red asterisks. Those items are required in order to complete the primary presenter information. It's also required in order to complete your abstract submission. So please make sure you check everything that has a red asterisk and ensure that it has been completed. So we have Beyonce coming in and putting in her abstract submission for USCHA. You see she's entered her name, her organization, her title, her city, and now she's selecting her state. You'll see she also has to enter in her phone number. But beneath that, you'll see the email address is also required. But because she entered it in earlier, it automatically populates. A bio, resume, or CV is also required in order to complete your primary presenter information. So please make sure you put in your most up-to-date resume and add it. Once you click open, the file will upload. We have another place where we ask for a headshot. It's not required. However, if you'd like us to see who you are, go ahead and add that headshot for us. We do not post resumes and CVs, but we do use them for our CEU process. So we do ask that you please upload a very current CV or bio. Again, these are your demographic information. It's not required. However, it helps us see how diverse our abstract submitters are, and also helps us in the decision-making process where we want to have a diverse presenter group. Once you enter that information, you want to click Save. And it takes you to our dashboard. On this dashboard, you'll see besides Step 1, primary presenter, Beyonce Knowles Carter. See, she was able to go back and make corrections. You see she's making a capital K on her name. You're able to do the same thing. And once you go back in, you can make corrections as many times as you need to. Make sure you click Save and that your corrections are saved, and you can move on to the next step. What you'll also see is that there's a red asterisk beside Step 4. So you may not have a co-presenter or a co-author, and you can skip those steps if you need to, but you do have to complete Step 4. But since Beyonce has a co-presenter, we're going to go through the co-presenter process. Step 2 and Step 3 are very similar, but we're going to go through both just so you can see what information is asked and required. So you still see the red asterisk beside Step 4, but we're going to go ahead and go into Step 2 and add a co-presenter. So once you go into the co-presenter space, you are required to put in their first name, last name, city, state, and email address. It's important that we get this information, not only because it's information that we publish if the abstract's accepted, it's also information we use in the event that we're not able to reach the primary presenter. So in the event that Beyonce doesn't respond or we don't hear back from Beyonce regarding her accepted abstract presentation, we'll reach out to Kelly Rowland and let her know that it's been accepted and that we need to hear a response back. Okay. So Kelly has entered all their information and they click save. And you're back to your dashboard. So this time you could add another co-presenter, but we're going to add an author now. Authors are people who help to write the abstract, but are not necessarily going to present if accepted for presentation at USCHA. This person is still able to get credit as a part of this abstract submission, so we give you the author option. So Michelle Williams helped co-write this abstract. However, she won't be presenting if accepted. We still require a first name, last name, city, and state. As I mentioned, this information will be published. And once the information is entered, you can click save. And you'll see now that Beyonce, Kelly are also listed, and you'll see under author, Michelle Williams. Now we're ready to keep moving. Next step is step 4, the meatiest part of your abstract, the most important and the most in-depth. So before we begin going over the actual form process of your session information, we're going to go through all the questions that will be asked about your particular abstract, just to make sure you fully understand what is being asked and what type of information is going to be required. So first, you want to select a track. I'm sure you have a topic of interest that you'd like to talk about at the conference. Please make sure to properly read each of the track descriptions and find the track that your abstract best represents and that it best falls under. We assured that you know what topic is the best one for your particular topic. So, we lean on you to select the best one. So please make sure you read our track descriptions. They're listed on our website, again, which is uschA.life/abstracts. The descriptions are listed there. Make sure you read them carefully and find the best track. This is very important to the success of your track to your abstract submission, to ensure that it's reviewed by a group of people who specialize in that particular topic. So we offer 2 presentation types. You can submit to present a workshop or a poster presentation. A workshop is a 2-hour interactive oral presentation. So you'll be assigned, if accepted, a meeting room. You'll have a laptop there with a screen. You'll have a projector where you're able to show your PowerPoints and conduct your interactive activities. Or you could present a poster presentation. And a poster presentation is a 4x8 wide placard, 4 foot by 8 foot wide placard, and you post it on a board and people are able to come by and visit you. There are 2 dedicated times during USCHA where we have poster presenters by their posters and answer questions and provide additional information pertaining to their topic that has been accepted. The next question will be about the presentation level. What's very important about selecting your presentation level is that you do this based on the level of knowledge of your attendees who will be seeing the presentation. So you want to make sure that you review your information and look at it from what is the audience's level of knowledge before they come to see this presentation. So if no knowledge is needed and it's just kind of entry level and everybody can get it if they come to see your presentation, you want to select beginner level. However, if it's a very complicated topic, it's something that people might need to have working knowledge in for a few years or have done it before in order to fully understand all the nuances of your conversation, you want to select advanced. We don't want people to get in over their head and waste time in a session where they probably would not understand the concepts that you're delivering. We offer two various abstract formats. We have format 1 for abstracts concerning a specific program, project, or study, and format 2 for abstracts addressing a broader issue area, problem, or community need. The importance in selecting a format lends to the review process. It helps the people who are reviewing and scoring abstracts when they understand a little bit better about the information and content that you're providing. So you want to look at whether or not you're presenting on a broader issue and use format 2, or if you have a particular program that you're trying to highlight and writing about, therefore you would select format 1, or if you had a study, a research study, you would want to select format 1. This information is listed on our website for you to go through. You want to read each of the options and the information that's requested of them. For format 1, we ask for a description, we ask for methods and strategies used during the program. We look to see the results and some data related to that program, project, or study. And then we expect you to provide the conclusions for that program, project, or study. In format 2, we also ask for a description. We want to see under part 2 any special issues or needs that it will teach or that you will discuss. Under part 3, we want to see the learning objectives that the audience will learn when they attend your particular presentation. In section 4, we want to get your strategies, methods, models, and examples. And this is your teaching method models. So if there's any particular way that you're going to teach them this information, if there's a graph or something hands-on that you're going to use to teach that method or this information to them about this issue, we want to hear what that's going to be in that section. So we're going to go through a few samples of a abstract to give you a better idea of what a great write-up looks like, so you can model what you write after these, and not necessarily word for word or verbatim, but just kind of get a clear understanding of what we're looking for when we review your abstracts. So for the first section, on whether you're doing a format 1 or format 2, we ask for a workshop description. The word limit for a workshop description is 150 words. Make sure that your topic is clearly explained. Don't feel the over elaborate. Keep it interesting and relevant. Consider it the advertisement for your abstract. And what's really important is that what you write here is the information that we're going to use in all of our program material to advertise your workshop. So it'll be posted on our website. It'll go into our USCHA app. It will also go into the program book. So you want to make sure that it's well written, it's very clear, and it attracts people to come to your workshop, and it interests the reviewers and excites the reviewers about your workshop. So this is your advertisement. It's a time for you to really sell them on your topic, okay? So the example beside here, this is an older abstract submission, but I think it gets the point across. I'll give you a few moments to read it, and then I'll just kind of go through some points that they make in this particular example that really makes it stand out. All right, so just starting off, you see that they discuss CDC's high impact prevention strategy and how it changed the landscape for nonprofit agencies typically funded by CDC or health department grants. First thing they talk about in their first sentence is, one, they mention a very high-profile national agency. They talk about funding and how it's going to change, and they talk about grants. Those are kind of like trigger words for people who are looking for funding for their agencies. So it's highly attractive to them to see that. And it gets to the point of what they're talking about as well. Apparently there's some changes, and they want to make sure that people understand what those changes are and how it impacts them. And as you read further, they really give you some questions that you may have been asking yourself when you heard about these changes, to kind of let you know that these are the items and issues that they're going to address during this presentation. And what you'll also notice is that they were able to do this very attractive and very interesting workshop description with 112 words. So you see, you don't need a long description in order to capture interest. You just need to be very clear and very succinct. Okay. Let's move on to methods and issues. And this would be the second part of your abstract write-up. We ask that you limit the words to 500. Keep it relevant to your topic. You want to answer the question of why this is relevant and what is the issue you are addressing. So in the beginning of this example, you'll see that it mentions this seminar will present a brief history of major CDC prevention strategy changes and their impact on funded prevention programs in the US. Very compelling. That's the issue. And what I highlighted towards the bottom, especially as you're talking about grants and a lot of information around the grant, what you'll notice is that the person writes when I think this is the last sentence, though this workshop is open to grant writers of any experience level, most of the activities, which is a highlight indicator for interactive, will presume intermediate grant writing experience or higher. This lets us know that the people who attend this need to have some understanding about CBOs, ASOs, CDCs, new strategies. They need to have some understanding about grant writing itself. These type of keywords are very important to the abstract reviewer because it helps them gauge what your intentions are for the attendees. Next, let's go to the results and learning objectives. This section is also kept to 500 words. And here you want to respond to what skills would you like the attendees of the workshop to have by the end? What do you want them to learn? And in this example, you see they listed out 4 very clear points on what the participants will be able to do when they finish this workshop. You don't want your reviewer to have to read and pull out the very specifics of your workshop by reading. I find this method to be very, very clear and easy to read for the reviewers. It gives them all the information about what those participants are going to learn. And I also encourage you to make sure that what you write here is also reflected in what you intend to speak on when you talk about your description and your methods and issues. Next, we'll go into our conclusions, strategies, methods, models, and examples. This 4th section is also a 500-word limit. Here, if you're doing your conclusions, you want to write out how you plan to educate the attendees, what is the plan for them to actually meet those objectives that you mentioned, and what is your strategy. In this example, what I found extremely helpful was that they wrote, this hands-on session will invite participants to, and then they give a very clear statement to review and critique a wide range of actual grant narrative samples. So here you can already tell that in the workshop, they're going to hand out samples, pretty much how we're doing here. They're going to give them samples to review. They're going to talk about the narratives, and they're probably going to give them tips and examples on how to write a better grant, how to address the issues that CDC lists, and so forth. You want to make sure that you give very clear instructions as well as to what your attendees will do if your abstract is accepted for presentation. All right, so now we're ready to go into step 4 and cover what the form looks like and how we enter that information. So you're back at your dashboard. You've got your primary presenter. You have Kelly Rowland, Blue Ivy listed as co-presenters. You have Michelle Williams there. And now we're going into step 4 for our session information. So the first thing you'll see is you have the presentation track. Remember, select the track that best fits your particular topic. For this example, Beyonce is selecting leadership. Next, she's selecting presentation type. She wants to present a workshop. She's going into the presentation title section now. Presentation titles are limited to 10 words. So please make sure you find a title that is descriptive, but also very compact. It's only 10 words, and that's all you're allowed to submit into that box. Next, you'll select your presentation level. She selected beginner. Now we're going to the abstract format. Remember, you pick based on what you want to talk about. Beyonce is selecting format 2, addressing a broader issue area, problem, or community need. Now she's beginning to type inside of the box. I highly recommend for your abstract submission that you write your abstract in a Word document that's easy to edit. So you can write it all out, do your own word count, also and also maybe proofread it before you submit it into the boxes here. Also, maybe send it around to some colleagues and coworkers and have them review it as well. And make sure that it just reads very clearly and that all your points are well made. Again, I definitely recommend pre-writing your abstract in a Word document before you submit it into the system. So then you can just copy and paste it in here and you're not dealing with potential missed typos or other issues about formatting. So Beyonce entered her workshop description, which was 17 words. She's putting in her methods and issues. And so you'll notice that each of these sections has the red asterisk beside it. You will not be able to move forward with submission until every section with a red asterisk has been completed. Now she's moved on to her results and learning objectives. If you see that once you copy and paste your information in here that your abstract has not been formatted the way that you previously had it formatted in Word, there are options to ensure that it is formatted properly and that your hypertext and subtext are properly viewed. You can also bold and italicize those words that need that. But again, I highly suggest typing all this information out in Word, in a Word document too. So back to the example, you'll see that Beyonce is choosing to write out her learning objectives using a bulletin, a count bulletin. And so very clearly, she's not elaborating, but she's being very straight to the point. At the conclusion of this workshop, attendees will be able to, 1, state the statistics that prove Black and brown women are excluded from leadership roles. 2, explain why Black and brown women are needed in leadership. 3, offer methods of how Black and brown women can be included and given leadership positions. So very clear, not super complicated, and the reviewers will thank you for making sure that they understand very clearly the information that you want them to receive. I feel a lot of people, want to show just how, I guess, well-versed they are in their topics, and we trust that you're well-versed in your topics. But, you want to keep in mind that you can be well-versed and get to the point as well. Sometimes we have multiple abstracts to read, and you don't want your topic to get just kind of lost in the fray of your submission. So she's finished everything, and now she wants to click save. And now she's back to the dashboard. You'll notice there's no more red asterisks besides step 1, which means everything has been properly filled out, and she can now successfully click submit. Your submission will not be official until you click the submit button, and there we go. So it now says up at the top in red, your session has been submitted and an email confirmation will be sent to you. Please make sure that you get this email confirmation. If you select submit and you do not see an email confirmation, please reach out to me. I'm happy to check it out for you and make sure that it did go through and ensure that the email address was correct. I'll do everything I can to make sure that your abstract submission is submitted properly. So please feel free to reach out to me. So now that we've submitted, let's just cover a few more tips for success. You want to make sure you select a clear topic or focus. Make sure the topic aligns with the track's goals and objectives. And again, the track's descriptions are listed on the website. You want to write your abstract before you put it in the abstract system. Again, pre-write it in Word and send it out to your friend groups. You want to be sure to spell check and proofread because clearly we didn't on this particular tip. You want to fully write out your acronyms before you use them. Our industry has a lot of acronyms. Not everyone knows the acronyms that you know and use every day. So to ensure that they fully understand everything that you're trying to convey, write out your acronym beforehand and then continue to use your acronym throughout the balance of your abstract, but definitely write it out first. People may not know your particular acronym. Make sure you check for proper use of grammar. Eliminate ambiguous language and keep to the topic. Ask a colleague to read your abstract. And when writing your objectives, keep them to what you want the attendee to learn from attending the workshop or poster presentation. So we have another poll. Everybody, are you awake? Are you awake? Are you awake? All right. So what is the abstract submission deadline? Were you paying attention? Is it April 1st, April 10th, April 17th, or May 1st? So we're going to have the poll pop up in just a moment, and you can submit your answers. All right, giving you a couple of seconds. Everyone, fill in. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's close that poll and see who was listening. Oh no. I do not think, I can't see that. Oh, I see it now. All right, so it looks like you were paying attention. Yes, May 1st, the submission deadline is May 1st. Please, for the people who selected April 10th or April 17th, you have a little bit longer. You have until May 1st. You're welcome to submit it earlier, but you have more time now. So please, please, please don't forget you have until May 1st to submit your abstract submission. Thank you so much for participating. And we're going to keep moving on. Again, May 1st. May 1st is your abstract deadline submission date. So let's go over what happens after May 1st. You have gone through your whole abstract submission process, and now May 1st has come and gone. What happens? Your abstract goes into the review process. And so just so you understand how your abstract will be scored, hopefully this will help you, write a little bit better or pay more attention to the finer details of your abstract. So on May 1st, we have our submission deadline. It goes into the reviewing and scoring phase, where the track committees will review all of your abstracts. Then it goes to the program committee. All the recommendations that came from the track committees will be reviewed by the program committee for final selection. And then we'll go along and finalize that program. And then we'll send out the notifications to everyone who submitted an abstract. So now you're probably wondering, well, what are they scoring for? So in the scoring process, you can earn a total of 20 points. There's 6 things that the reviewers are asked to review based on. The first is a yes or no question. Is the workshop or is the abstract submission interactive? So select yes or no. And this is also weighed more heavily based on whether or not you're asking to present a workshop or whether or not you're asking to present a poster. Posters are not particularly interactive, so we understand that. But if you are presenting a workshop, we expect to see some information that says there's some interactive components to it. Next is your track. Is the track that you submitted reflected in the abstract? Do we see that there's some correlation? Does it match? Relevance. Is it appropriate to the track? Does it fit? Innovative. Is this a new concept or idea? We're into innovation. We want to hear what's new and what's out there. Is the information you're writing about essential? Is this something that's so hardcore to ending the epidemic that it is required and we have to have this information? They're going to score based on that. Clarity. How clearly did you describe the topic and explain the objectives? Again, the first question is a yes or no. The following 5, each can give a max of 4 points. You want to make sure you get all 4 of the points for each question to max out at your 20. Okay? You want to make sure it's extremely well written. So now that you know how it's scored, you're probably wondering, who's scoring it? Who serves on our track review committee? And we have people serving from all of our national partner organizations. Hopefully you're familiar with a few of these organizations. And these are our program partners in addition to our constituent advisory panels. We have a number of organizations that help us ensure that the program is robust and diverse and is meeting the needs of the attendees. And having this diverse group of people has been very instrumental to the programming that we have for USCHA, and we're just glad that each year they sign on to help us review these abstracts. So we thank them. So the program review committee is also comprised of many of the organizations listed on the previous slide. Those persons serve on a committee after we review the tracks. After the track committees review each of the abstracts, they send recommendations. So they'll select a certain number of abstracts they think are the ones that are diverse, robust, and create the best curriculum for attendees. They send that to our program review committee. The program review committee looks at each and every track's submissions and, again, double checks and make sure that everything has synergy and that one track may not cover the exact same thing that another track is talking about accidentally. So make sure that we have diversity across demographics, whether it's regionally, racially, age-wise. So we just want to make sure we have a very diverse and robust program, and that's what the program committee helps ensure happens. So just to give you some more information, may the odds be ever in your favor. We want to see you present at USCHA, but these are the statistics from last year. You know, we had 438 abstract submissions. This is a great show out. 144 of those were accepted. That's a great percentage. And what you also don't see is that 62 of those were incomplete submissions. They weren't even submitted. So that 438 could have gone up way into, like, I can't do math, but probably around 500 or around 500 abstracts had they actually made sure that there were no more red asterisks and actually hit the submit button. We don't want you to fall into the 62 incomplete abstracts for 2020. So make sure you get your confirmation email. Make sure that all the red asterisks have been completed. Make sure that there are no red asterisks on your dashboard, and make sure you hit the submit button. Please, it's so important. You don't want to find out that your abstract was not reviewed because it was deemed incomplete. So we want to make sure you have our contact information. None of this information here is really relevant, but we want to let you know that NMAC is still working. Our offices are closed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone is working from home, though. We're working still. We're answering emails. We're answering phone calls. So if you have questions for anyone at NMAC, please reach out. We're working. And we hope you are all doing the same, being safe and keeping your social distancing and hand sanitizers and hand washing regimens as the CDC has suggested. But we're working. So if you need to reach out to us, you can do so. All of our information is listed on our nmac.org website. I am always available. My phone number is listed here on this slide. I can also be reached at conferences@nmac.org. Again, my name is Allison McKeithen. I'm always very accessible. Please email or call me. I'm available to answer all your questions. And since we're talking about questions, let's get into some now. I am joined by the Director of Communications, Chip.
Hi, everyone.
This. Hi. So I'm sure, Chip, you've been in the chat room.
Yes, and we have a few questions already. First, let me ask if everybody can hear me.
If you
Please
can
let me
hear
know
it,
if everyone can hear me. Okay, you can. Okay.
okay.
How many okay, so the first question is, how many co-presenters are allowed?
We like to keep it between 4 to 5. It makes it more difficult if you have more than 5 people presenting at a time. 4 to 5 is probably the max I would suggest.
Okay. Can you submit the same presentation as both a workshop and a poster?
You can. I would just recommend you select the best format presentation for your abstract. You don't need to submit it twice. Just select which one you think is the best presentation format. And within your abstract, write that it could also be presented as, you know, a poster or a workshop. Write that in the body of your abstract versus submitting it twice. Because ultimately, if we see duplicates, one will get deleted out.
All right, we've had several questions about a recording of this webinar. The recording of this webinar will be available tomorrow on the abstract page of the USCHA website. So just to let you know that. What if your topic is only qualitative in nature, does not have any quantitative data aside from just number of participants, number of sessions, etc.?
Qualitative data also matters, so you would want to select the format 1 and enter in that qualitative data where it's required.
Are we going to be able to ask questions about specific tracks? Yes, if you have them, ask them now. If a co-presenter also assists with preparing the abstract, should the co-presenter be listed as a co-author?
No, if the co-presenter is, I would say prioritize people who are actually presenting and list them as co-presenters. If someone is only an author but will not be presenting, list them as an author. So if they help write and they'll present, write them as a presenter. Did that answer the question, Chip?
I guess so. Yes. If it didn't, please ask the follow-up in the chat room. I may need some clarification on this one. Can I do? I'm assuming, can you do an abstract on roundtables discussion on HIV, heterosexual Hispanic man issues? Yes, as far as he can. Correct, Allison?
That's correct. I mean, if there's a track that falls under, select the best track that topic will fall under, is my response.
I'm in the Data to Care program for Arizona, and I'm not seeing a track that works for us. Any suggestions on how to determine which track is best?
I would say select the ones you think are the closest, and give me a call, and we can discuss that and see what will fit.
Okay. If different people have similar abstracts, will they be grouped together? If so, will they have time to prepare their grouped presentation ahead of time?
We typically don't group abstracts together, but it's not an impossibility. They could be grouped together, but we typically don't do that. And if we do that, we will allow you time to collaborate.
Is there a track for HIV cure research?
I would not say specifically cure, but we do have some on biomedical. I would want to know more about what you're trying to discuss before I can really fully answer that question. There's not one on cure specifically, but there might be something else it falls under.
Okay. Any other questions, folks? We've got some time here, so if you have more questions, please let us know in the chat box.
Yeah, and feel free to call me. My number is area code 202-930-2567. Call me after the webinar. Please don't call me during the webinar. But in a few moments, when we finish the webinar, feel free to call me with your questions, and I'm happy to speak with you and, figure out the kinks so that you can have a successful submission and presentation.
If we were to choose a track that you feel that our abstract should be somewhere somewhere else, will we be notified of this or just lose points?
We typically try to move the abstracts to the one that we feel is the best. That rarely happens. So, it's always a funny thing. I would definitely say, your topic best. Please read all of the track descriptions and, put it in the track you feel it best applies to.
Where's the size guidance for posters?
It's listed on our website. You'll see all posters are 4 feet high by 8 feet wide, and it is a landscape orientation.
Is there a track on HIV long-term survivor issues that we can do on roundtable discussions?
We do have one that is pertaining to aging populations, not necessarily that particular topic. It's under geriatric care services. I need a little bit more information in order to answer that question specifically, though.
Can we submit an abstract in both English and in Spanish?
Yes. What I would prefer is if you have an abstract that you can present in Spanish language, I would prefer that you submit it in Spanish, and within there, write that you have the option to say it or present it in English. We're absolutely looking for Spanish language abstracts. So if you're able to present in Spanish, please submit your abstract in Spanish.
The 140 exceptions last year were posters and orals
Yes,
combined.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Any more questions? We still have a few minutes.
Thank you all
Should
for
posters?
being.
Oh,
Go
we
ahead.
got one more, Allison. Should
Great.
posters include Spanish? Should posters include Spanish translations?
Um, if you can provide it in Spanish, we would love to see it in Spanish. And again, write that it can also be provided in English. We're definitely looking for Spanish language presentations, and this is why we're presenting this same webinar in Spanish. So if you know anyone, or if you can translate it, or if you speak Spanish, please submit it in Spanish.
All right.
And thank you for
Any
that
more
question.
questions? Hmm? Okay. No more questions coming through.
All right. Well, again, thank you everyone for choosing to be here. I'm here as your support. I'm here to help you through this process as much as possible. Please use me as a resource. My name is Allison McKeithen. I am available to you. Email, call, anything you need. I want to see you all succeed in this presentation process and this abstract submission process. So use me. Okay. All right. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you later. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe out there, everyone.
Hmm.